Welcome back, Light Up Literature family. Today, we're going to talk about some real life in the trenches stuff. So, let's let me tell you about one of the things that no one really prepares you for when you're working with middle schoolers. It's not the homework, it's not even the grades, it's the friendships. If you've ever had a middle schooler walk into the kitchen, drop their backpack, and say, "I'm not going back tomorrow," you know exactly what I'm talking about because we've all been there. Whether you're a teacher or a parent, if you've had middle schoolers, you have been there. So when you ask what happens, they say nothing. But you know that nothing is not nothing because there's a lot of emotion going on. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, what's actually happening underneath all that intensity is during those preteen teenage years, the emotion part of our brain is super active. And just reflect back when you were there because we've all been there. And at that time, the emotion, the part of the brain responsible for like impulse control and perspective taking and emotional regulation, it's still developing. So it's like a really loud alarm system, but the reasoning wiring is still kind of not there yet. We're still in the process. So at this age, our kiddos, our middle school kiddos, they can call an emotional flag on the play, but they're not so great about going and looking at the replay of the event. And so that's what can be really dramatic and emotional. And if you're working with neurodivergent kiddos, like with ADHD, this is where it can become even stronger. So you really, there's so many ways to learn how to use this to your advantage to get things like the emotion part not silenced, but transfer that power and emotion into something positive. And this is all within the realm of ELA. So whenever one of your kiddos said, "We're never going to use this," today's video is about just how much they're going to be using it. So here's the real problem. Sometimes it's not about what is said, it's all about what wasn't. A text goes unanswered. A friend laughs across the room. Someone doesn't make eye contact. Nothing concrete actually happened. But inside the brain of our preteen and teens, a whole story has formed. They have their own Netflix situation going on. She's mad at me. They don't like me. I must have done something wrong. What did I do? And before they can really process anything, that story locks in, and the logical part of their brain is it's just not there yet. So this is an important skill to teach for life lessons. So as adults, this can feel very exhausting. And that's why it's kind of sad that it doesn't get talked about enough because as a parent, it's like, am I stepping in too much? Not enough? Is this ADHD? Is this just typical middle school stuff? And teachers are like, I still have to teach a standard. We cannot turn every conflict into a counseling session in class. But I can't ignore it either because then we're never going to get anywhere. And that tension is real. And it's felt whether you're in a classroom or whether you're at home. So here is where literacy becomes quite quietly quite powerful. When we teach point of view, we're teaching perspective limits. When we teach tone, we're teaching students to look for evidence before assuming intent. So when we teach mood and setting, we're teaching how context shapes emotions. So those aren't just reading skills; those are like everyday life skills. They're taking perspective taking skills. And perspective can be practiced through literature, through a movie, through a song, but it is definitely happening in life all the time. And it does not just stop when we're in middle school. That is lifelong learning, baby, at its finest. All right, so here is the 3-step reset. So when emotions spike, there's a simple reset you can try. Step 1, separate fact from interpretation. The fact is she hasn't responded. The interpretation is she's upset with me. Those are two different things. Step 2, generate 2 alternate explanations. Maybe she's busy. Maybe her phone is off. And here's a third one. Maybe she had her phone taken away. All right. And then step 3, we have delayed reaction until calm. This probably builds cognitive flexibility over time. And this is probably one of the hardest parts to handle as a preteen. And it's extremely hard when you are a preteen teen with ADHD. So make sure we're extra patient when we're working through the 3 steps because they need it and we do too. Middle school friendships feel intense because emotional systems are super highly active and perspective taking is still a developing skill. I'm sure you know adults who still struggle with perspective taking skills. It doesn't mean that your kiddo is dramatic. It means they're learning to practice skills that their brain is still building. Just like walking, talking, driving, all of these things. So ELA doesn't separate from social growth. It actually is practice for it. And that practice matters, especially in middle school. So give yourself a pat on the back because this is hard. And also understand that in their world, it's so much more emotionally draining and frustrating and scary and all the things that, all the emotions that we dealt with when we were there. I don't think it's gotten any better for our kiddos now. So until next time, I will see you. Be safe and healthy and happy. Bye.